Hey, dude. Just before we get into this week's podcast, I was just checking the analytics of the show, and we're losing a lot of viewership in the 50 plus demographic. I don't know if you had any ideas on maybe what we could do to try to draw in some of that 50 plus viewership.
I can't think of anything. Do you have any ideas?
What if? All right, so we're about to cover the infamous match, Ultimate Warrior Intercontinental Champion versus WWF Champion Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania 6 live in Toronto, Canada. What did you think of this match, Damien?
This was a crazy match. It had all of the elements of a 5 out of 5 match, I thought.
Yeah,
what do you think?
One of the big spots of the night is where they run back and forth 4 or 5 times and don't even touch each other. It's just like high spot of the night. It was really good.
There was a lot of repetition in this match.
We saw a Greco-Roman knuckle lock, headlock. These are moves that you don't just pull out every day.
Right.
This is big match stuff here. Earl Hebner takes a bump. Refs don't. You're not supposed to attack the refs. Like, that's against the rules.
For sure.
So,
and then there was 2 pins while Hebner was down.
Yeah, I don't even. What would you even call that? Like a false finish, a visual finish? Like, there's not even a term for some of this stuff. They did. This is the most innovative wrestling match I've ever seen.
Yeah, you're right.
So, anyways, the Ultimate Warrior goes over, big body splash after dodging the infamous Hogan leg drop. That's devastating stuff. Ultimate Warrior, the 2 division champion, Intercontinental champion, WWF champion. Congratulations.
Wow, that'll never be done again.
It'll never be done again. It's just so amazing. Cue the intro.
The following presentation has been brought to you by HSF Productions.
The Impromptu Wrestling Podcast with your hosts, Nick and David.
Hey guys, welcome back to IWP, the Impromptu Wrestling Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Tally 006. Over to my left, as always, is my brother Damien. How's it going this week?
This week has been a really good week. My last week of vacation. How was yours?
It was good. It was a busy week at work. It's hot. It's humid. It's been trying to storm here for a little while, but getting some work done, putting some bikes back together, so all is good.
Awesome.
We got a big show this week, as always. We got some Breaking Kayfabe, some Scoop of Vanilla to go through. AEW Dark, BTE, AEW Dynamite was another really good episode of Dynamite this week. So why don't you say we get right into it with Breaking Kayfabe? So, an interesting interview happened earlier this week with formerly of the WWE, Brian Myers, formerly known as Kurt Hawkins. He was doing an interview and he talked about the contract offers that were coming, his way and the way of a lot of WWE superstars that were kind of, on the bubble. They weren't using them on TV. They were voicing their concerns and the displeasures of working for WWE. And essentially, through his words, these were, please don't go to AEW contract offers. did you check this interview out? What were your thoughts on what Kurt Hawkins, Brian Myers had to say?
Yeah, I mean, there was always the rumors that WWE was doing these types of contracts to keep guys from going over to AEW.
I guess.
But
Go ahead. Sorry.
I just thought it was interesting that they came up with this term for the contract, the please don't go to AEW contract, where it sounds like they were getting like crazy money to not jump ship.
Right. And I guess what I was going to mention is most notably Jon Moxley, formerly known as Dean Ambrose. He was kind of the first one. He was trying to get out of WWE. He was basically on social media saying, my contract's up on this date. I'm done. I'm out. Looking back at his interview with Jericho on Talk is Jericho, he talks about how they were throwing me stupid amounts of money to stay in WWE. And it's just like, I don't need the money. I don't want the money. I want the creativity. I want the control. Are you willing to give me that? No, and so forth. And then you get into the Brody Lees. We know what happened with Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins and Heath Slater and EC3 especially was someone who was really stifled in WWE. Eric Young, and it's interesting to hear this from somebody very recently let go from WWE, that basically being offered millions of dollars, I'm assuming millions of dollars a year to sit at home and not be on TV because they were scared of the competition. I think it says a lot.
For sure. Especially when they kind of openly said they weren't scared of AEW.
Right.
So, this kind of proves that they were.
And it should also be mentioned before the whole, global pandemic situation and everything like that, and even leading up to AEW's existence, and it was still kind of rumors in late 2018, WWE was buying everybody, and they stockpiled talent just so they couldn't wrestle against them, be it Impact or Ring of Honor or whatever. And then everything hits, and they were spending buttloads of money to try to keep these very talented wrestlers off of opposing TV. I think it's interesting. There's definitely some nerves. Definitely some nerves there. Let's move on to a little bit of news that I can't help but feel responsible, inspirational, however you want to put it. But Chris Jericho has officially banned Jim Cornette, better known to us as Jason Corvette, from watching AEW. This happened on, I believe it was one of Chris Jericho's Saturday night specials. Someone in chat had asked, what did you think of Jim Cornette? He's very critical of what AEW does. He covers every episode every week, much like we do. And he basically never has anything good to say about the show. And Jericho just comes back at him, and I don't know the words he used, but he's banned. Jim Cornette is not allowed to watch AEW wrestling anymore, which, I basically said episode 2.
Right.
So, I thought, not that it's news or anything like that. I just thought it was interesting that the GOAT himself feels the same way I do. And, it's...
Well, what do you feel like he was trying to get out of this, though?
I don't know. I think it's just one of those, classic things. If you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything. Don't say nothing. Why do you need to spread poison when it's not even warranted, really? And that's all that comes out of Cornette's mouth is just toxicity,
Yeah.
He,
It's interesting he hasn't said anything back.
I haven't heard of anything, any rebuttals or anything like that, but I think his podcast comes out like Tuesdays, so maybe he did have something to say earlier this week, but I don't listen to that piece of shit, so who knows what he had to say, but it wasn't wasn't important enough for it to pop up on social media. So.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of, like, I've heard some comments on social media that, Jim Cornette talking about AEW is better than actually watching AEW. So he has this following, and I feel like for him to keep his brand going, if this is what people want him to trash AEW, then he's going to do it regardless of what he probably really thinks about it.
For sure, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no respect for the guy. I respect for what he's done for the wrestling business. I get that he is important to the history of professional wrestling, but much like Vince McMahon, he's obviously out of touch. He doesn't understand what the business has evolved into. Whether you like it or not, sports evolve, things change, and you either get on board or leave it. It happens in other sports like hockey and stuff like that. I'm sure there's old disgruntled goalies who are mad at all the padding that goalies get to wear now in hockey. Like, oh, back in my day, and that's basically all Cornette says is, back in my day, because
right.
So, anyways, enough about that jag off. But yeah, fuck you, Corvette. I just can't stand him. Let's move on. Sticking with Chris Jericho. Nothing to do with his comments on Jim Cornette, but Jericho is in a bit of heat right now. Fozzy, his rock and roll band, I felt really old saying rock and roll band, his rock band, Fozzy, they played a show in North Dakota, South Dakota. I thought maybe it was South Dakota because the Sturgis rally's going on, but I believe it was North Dakota. But they played a show at a venue. The venue was at 50% capacity, but it sounded like maybe the fans weren't following, social distancing, masks weren't being worn, and I guess essentially Fozzy didn't do anything to, hey guys, spread out a bit. Some mosh pits were going out, and the Karens of the world are just losing their minds. And not only are they blaming Jericho for this, but they're coming after Tony Khan and AEW, which, I don't know, I'm a little on the fence about. I totally get that, A, why was this show booked? B, why was nothing done in security-wise to make sure that guidelines were followed? But, on the other hand, C, why are they dragging AEW into this just because Jericho is involved? To me, AEW has nothing to do with it. I'm interested in what you thought of this story.
Well, when I read about it, it seemed like the gripe and how they were sort of involving AEW was, tweets at Tony Khan saying, hey, are you going to be forcing Jericho to self-quarantine for 2 weeks? I'm expecting we won't see him on the show, but that probably won't happen because it's Chris Jericho and he can do whatever he wants and that kind of thing. It seemed like a lot of these tweets and social media stuff were coming directly from concert goers during the concert, just the tone in which they were happening. And it's just like, why are you there?
Right.
Why are you there?
If you're
so concerned, yeah. Why are you there? So, obviously these kids or young adults that were in these mosh pits, are on the side of not being concerned, and there's a lot of people that are on that side. It seems like a lot more Americans are on that side, that this is not something to be that worried about. But is it the responsibility of Chris Jericho or AEW to have any control over this?
Right.
I mean, I go to the shopping, I go shopping and go to the stores, and I haven't really seen too much of the employees, making sure that everybody's 3 meters apart. Everybody knows what they should do, and people are going to follow it, and people are not going to follow it. But, are we going to start attacking
Right.
all of these businesses because of that?
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Seems kind of unfair.
Yeah, and we don't know what exactly happened, because if Jericho in between songs was out there saying, like, come on guys, like, spread out a bit, give each other some space, and let's just enjoy the show. These people who are voicing their concerns and are attacking Jericho, they're not going to tell us that part of the story, because then it doesn't bite into their narrative that they want people to think. And yeah, the fact that they're dragging Tony Khan in, like, I don't get that, because AEW's been very open throughout this pandemic of their very strict, procedures to make sure that everybody at the shows are safe. Everybody's being tested. You're not allowed in until your test comes back. And I'm not sure what they're doing differently than the rest of the country, because it seems like the rest of the country is having to wait 5, 6, sometimes even 2 weeks for their test results. But all these AEW wrestlers are showing up to Jacksonville day of and getting tested and cleared and whatnot. So I don't know, unless there's something we don't know, but it seems like AEW is doing everything properly. So yeah, when Jericho gets back from North Dakota and shows up to Dynamite and gets tested and he's cleared, why not have him on the show? Like, I don't get that part. So
yeah, I think part of it too is I think Jericho has openly said that he kind of thought that this whole pandemic thing was kind of, I can't remember the exact words, but I'll paraphrase in saying that it's kind of a farce or whatever.
right.
And people are also saying that he's a Trump supporter, and we know how Trump's feelings are towards the pandemic and whatnot. So yeah, I think just people are, like you said, just being a bunch of Karens and just want to say bad things to create drama, and we're talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. They got us talking about it, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. There are a lot of concerts. They're slowly starting to come back. There's a big venue built out in the UK that bands are available to book for. They have like basically all these isolation booths in this big field and stuff like that. So bands are able to at least book shows and put something on in this very specific spot in the UK. So, and I'm sure other big cities and countries are going to follow suit, and that might be the only way to have shows in the near future, but we'll see how it all plays out. All right, let's move on to a scoop of vanilla. A couple of little special items here. We talked about last week Shane McMahon coming back, starting the Raw Underground, this kind of MMA-inspired fight club, essentially. I'd seen some footage from it. They basically took a ring and then just took the posts and the rings out. So they were kind of up on an elevated platform. It looked like a regular wrestling canvas, gray, whatever. It sounded like a wrestling ring, They had a couple of, like, whoever was kind of involved in this Raw Underground around that ring, and they're beating, on the canvas, making some noise. And then they had some pole dancers around, which is probably the best part of the whole segment. But, they're trying to attract some viewers with this. However, the fighting itself, they're booking this as a worked shoot. It's supposed to look real, but they're still doing their predetermined, following kayfabe and all that stuff. So where the news item comes in is that Ken Shamrock, formerly of the WWE, is currently employed by Impact Wrestling, UFC Hall of Famer. We know Ken Shamrock's history. This guy's legit. He was the most dangerous man on the planet, I think his moniker was at one point. So he gets on Twitter and he says, "Hey, at WWE and at Shane McMahon, next time you guys want to do some work shoots on hashtag Raw Underground and actually make them look good, you got my number, give me a call." And to which the Twitterverse tried burying Ken Shamrock, like, dude, you're old, you can't hack it, and they really attacked him. And as I went through the thread, like, Ken Shamrock was, handled it pretty well. He was just like, I didn't say anything about competing. I just want to help make the product look better because it looks like shit, which, I totally agree with Ken here. Like, it doesn't look how it should. It looks like wrestling. So, I don't know. What do you think of Ken Shamrock's comments on Raw Underground?
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised they haven't tried to get somebody that could do that anyways before going through with this, because I haven't seen any of it. I don't know who they're actually putting in these fights, but like, I'm thinking most of the wrestlers of today probably wouldn't be able to do this type of worked shoot that they're kind of trying to go for. They almost need like a movie stunt actor or somebody in there that can make it look real. Yeah,
that's a good point, because there are a lot of like movie fights that look a lot better than some of these underground matches. So yeah, interesting stuff. I think Shane should definitely give Ken Shamrock a call. I don't know how that would work with his contract and Impact, but they definitely need somebody. I mean, Bobby Lashley has MMA experience, but maybe not the experience of choreographing an actual fight to make it look as real as possible. Right. Bobby Lashley is definitely a part of it. I know Ziggler is. I saw Killian Dane was in there throwing his body around. That's a big boy, and yeah, I don't know.
Underground's also getting a lot of heat for the dancers.
Yeah, I mean,
seen a lot of social media talk about that. What did you think of all that stuff? You said it was the best part of it, but
yeah, but
you're of the other gender, so
yeah, is that where the backlash is coming from? It's the subjection of the female, Is that where it's all coming from? I see a lot of it.
I mostly seen the comments coming from women, and the only kind of woman supporter that I saw was Mandy Rose.
Oh, interesting.
She thought it was fine. So,
I mean, there's a time and a place for everything. If it was Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair and, Bayley and Sasha Banks, like actual, established female superstars who are known for their wrestling, then it was like, oh, we're heading back to that era. But I mean, I've never seen these girls before. There were probably professional dancers of some sort. Maybe they're NXT talent. I don't know. But I mean, if these are hired dancers to go out there and add an element of environment to this Fight Club, like, who cares? They signed up for it.
Yeah.
I never look at things like that, like, oh, they shouldn't do that. You know what I mean? If they signed up to
if you have a problem with that, then you get rid of cheerleaders altogether, because essentially
that's all
they're in the same realm.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I agree. I mean, if they're up there, getting naked against their will, then yeah, there's a problem there. But I mean, like I said, they're obviously hired.
Are they?
No, they're not.
Oh,
They're actually quite clothed.
okay. I was just about to order WWE Network.
So, anyways, yeah, Ken Shamrock, he wants to get involved. I would like to see him involved. That's the long and the short of it. So,
Yeah, make the product better. Why not?
yeah, exactly. Let's move on to a very interesting piece of scoop of vanilla here. Tyson Kidd. He was injured June 1st, 2015 from a muscle buster from Samoa Joe. Freak accident. Tyson Kidd was working with Cesaro. They were multiple time tag champions. One of our personal favorite tag teams. An unfortunate injury. I don't think it was anybody's fault. It's just one of those weird neck injuries where, something tweaks and that's that. Injuries happen. Tyson Kidd's been laid up for 5 years now. 5 years and a couple months. And the other day, I'm not sure exactly what day this came out, but Natalya posted a video on her socials of him running the ropes and, looking in shape and stuff like that. And especially with, guys like Daniel Bryan coming back from injury, Edge especially coming back from a neck injury. Is there a chance Tyson Kidd could make a comeback? What do you think of Tyson Kidd getting back in the ring?
Well, I think it's fantastic if it happens. Like you said, when we were watching Vanilla, that tag group with Cesaro was fantastic. I love seeing those guys. Tyson Kidd is a great wrestler, a good melt between classic wrestling and this new brand of wrestling, fast and quick and whatnot. I really hate for him to come back and something to go wrong,
Right.
but I'm sure that all he's thinking about is getting back and not what could happen.
Right.
So yeah, good luck to him, and hopefully we see him again in AEW.
Yeah, for sure. Running the ropes is a long way away from, that entrance music hitting and having a match. We're not sure if he's bumping or anything, but it looks like he was at the PC Center, or maybe they have a ring themselves. I mean, it's branded WWE Live. It looks like one of the house show rings. But yeah, it's a step. It's a step forward. It's the first step to a comeback. Just get in there, run around. Hopefully he's rolling around. I'm sure he'll take it slow. I don't expect him back, next week or anything like that. But I mean, this is Tyson. I'm pretty sure Tyson Kidd is known as the last graduate of the Heart Dungeon. He was one of the last ones to go through that training school. Obviously married to Natalya, daughter of Jim the Anvil Neidhart, who is a son-in-law of the Hart family and stuff like that. It's all connected, and that's one of the last great family dynasties in wrestling right now. So I'd like to see him come back. Definitely in AEW. That'd be cool
For sure.
Bring Natty too, because she doesn't get any respect over at WWE.
That's right.
All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes here. Let's talk about the AEW Women's Tag Team Cup Tournament, Night 2, quarterfinals. We had a couple of decent matches. I'll try to give a little bit of gas to these matches, but show starts off. We got Big Swole choosing her chip. She picks green. It turns out that her friend Little Swole, which we saw in an episode of Dark, months ago. I totally forgot about this girl. But she happened to have green, which I'm like, okay, so how random was this draw really?
Yeah,
when
not at all.
when we first talked about the deadly draw, and it's just like, oh yeah, they can create storylines, they can build feuds, and I was expecting people to be drawn with their enemies and stuff like that, and we didn't get any of that. So unfortunately, the most random pairing ended up being who the Swoles are going to go up against here: Leva Bates and Ricochet Chanel. That's the most random tag team that was in this tournament. But what did you think of this match?
Well, it was good to see Nicole Savoy again, or Lil Swole, as she goes by. We had seen this Nicole in the Vanilla.
Oh yeah,
in the Mae Young Classic. So she's a pretty decent wrestler. I mean, it was an okay match. I thought the Swoles did really well. I think like last week's, a few botches, but this was a kind of a comical match with Chanel and Bates kind of doing their comedy thing. So not much of a story, I wouldn't say, but we would expect that the Big Swole and Little Swole would go over in this one, and sure enough, they did.
If I had to give any kind of props to this match, for me, it was the way Leva and Ricochet Chanel work on Lil Swole. That really builds up to that hot tag for Big Swole to come in and finish the match off. That was done actually pretty well. All the comedy bits aside. But decent match. I mean, it got the job done. Where, Swole's moving on. It was basically what it was there for.
Right.
Moving on, we get to see Eva Lise. It's her turn to pick her chip. She's asked by, I can't remember who's there. Was it Dasha was doing the chip?
I can't remember
because we'll get into
it was Dasha.
Yeah, it was, right? Okay, so she asks the question to Eva Lise, who are you expecting to be, who would you like to be your partner? And, this is kind of a cool callback because this match happened, what she refers to happens on Dynamite, so they're kind of keeping all the shows, relevant and together. And she mentions how, I was kind of hoping, I don't think she actually says Diamante, but, she's referring to it, but since last week, I'm not sure how that relationship is going to, hold up or whatever. So sure enough, she picks Pink. In walks Diamante. She also has Pink. And now I'm convinced that there was no randomness to this draw whatsoever. And I'm mad. But it is what it is. I mean, like, I was expecting these two to be a tag team in this tournament. And, sure enough. But, yeah, I don't know. I was a little disappointed in
there to be heat there, and they were actually happy that they were tagging together.
Yeah, so, I mean, whatever. And then we move over. How did that all play out? I can't even remember. But anyways, Dasha was about to announce who was going to pick the next chip, and in comes Medusa. I almost said Alondra Blaze, but that's the vanilla name. She comes in and stops her and says, actually, I'm going to take over this interview because you, Dasha, need to pick up Chip. And she's like, she plays it off really surprised, oh my God, I get to wrestle, really excited. It should be noted that Dasha is a trained wrestler. She suffered an injury a few years ago in the independents that kind of kept her out of the ring. She was on The Rock's Titan Games a little while ago. Apparently she did pretty well. I'm not sure how it all played out, but that's not important. But Dasha getting her chance to get back in the ring. And I was kind of excited to see what she had to offer. What did you think of Dasha being included in the tag tournament?
Yeah, if she's, getting a shot to get in there, that's awesome for her. I was pretty interested on, what we were gonna to see out of it, and then even more interesting as to who they were going to put her with. Because as you say, none of this was random.
Yeah, for sure. At this point, before we get the reveal, because the reveal happened quite quickly, I'm just trying to think, like, well, who does Dasha go in there with? I'm trying to think of who was already in, who's left out. We got Abaddon, and we know Britt Baker's injured. Who else could be? Was it going to be one of the jobbers that we've been seeing on Dark? Kylan King, or she was already in a tag team there. So, my mind went racing. And then we get the reveal. Rachel Ellering. And I popped hard. I was like, yes! So excited. Rachel Ellering, formerly known as Rachel Evers. She was in the Mae Young Classic. Great wrestler. Coming out of the Lance Storm School of Wrestling. Daughter of Hall of Famer Paul Ellering, who is most recently noted as the manager of AOP in the Vanilla brand. I'm excited. I was excited to see how this match was going to play out because, Rachel's good coming out of the Lance Storm School. She's good. And it showed. As soon as she got into this match, we had to wait a little bit, but as soon as she got into this match, you could just see she moves like a wrestler. She just has the control of her body. It's something that we've said before that, just lacks in some of these female superstars. Yeah.
Yeah.
She looks good.
And she was coming off an injury as well.
Yes.
I think,
yeah, she was.
And she did look a little out of shape. But I thought she was probably the best part of this match. And I thought Dasha needed some work, but we'll give her some credit considering when's the last time she's
right.
Really been in a ring and whatnot. We could see that she could do the moves for sure, but the timing and stuff just I didn't think was there.
Right.
And Ivelisse and Diamante, I mean, we've seen them; they're good, and I thought going into this that there was no way that Dasha and Rachel were gonna win this one, and they didn't end up winning in the end. So
there was a really close false finish there near the end, and I thought they had it, and I was like, really? I was about to shout out really, but the shoulder comes up last second. It was a great false finish, and yeah, Ivelisse, Diamante go on to the finish. They move on. Back to the microphone for Dasha, I guess. But we'll see what her future has to hold. Maybe we'll see her in some dark matches as she gets more reconditioned to being in the ring. And hopefully Rachel Ellering is #AllElite. Because, like I said, she moves like a wrestler. I like how she moves in the ring. You tell she gets it.
yeah.
She had a good...
Just another bigger body there.
For sure.
For the likes of, Nyla Rose and Mel and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure. Exciting stuff. I'm very, very happy for Rachel Ellering. And she gets to use her actual name, which is always cool. So that's her real name. All right. So updated bracket, if you will. We're going to have Big and Little Swole versus the Nightmare Sisters in the semifinals, and Ivelisse Diamante versus the hottest tag team in women's wrestling today, literally and figuratively. Tay Conti and Anna Jay. So exciting stuff to see the semifinals go this upcoming Monday. Catch it on YouTube, and the finals will be next week on Dynamite, which will be Saturday, August 22nd, which we'll probably refer to at least 5 or 6 more times during this week's episode.
Should we do a little prediction?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, that's cool. Get some points on the board here. the Swoles versus the Sisters. You want to go first? You want me to go first? Or?
Yeah, I'll go first. I feel like this should be Big Swole, Little Swole, but I don't know. I think we have to go with the girl with her own action figure. I think the Nightmare Sisters are gonna go to the final.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think if it were any other time, in the year, that I would probably take Swole. But with the story that they've been telling with Allie and Brandy, they have to be there in the finals, because I feel like in the finals, that's where everything's going to go to shit, if you will. That's where the tension, the conflict's going to spike is in the finals when it's all on the line. Swole has her big match at All Out in a few weeks against Britt, so she doesn't really need this per se. So yeah, I'm going to take the Nightmares. Yep. I'm going to take the Nightmare Sisters as well. So that leaves Ivelisse Diamante versus Tay Conte and Anna Jay. I really want to take Tay and Anna here, but I think Ivelisse and Diamante, being the more experienced, more versed wrestlers, that they might take this. But how good would Allie Brandy versus Tay Anna? How good would that match be? I'm taking the hottest tag team in the world today, Anna and Tay Conte.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I agree with you that we have the more experience against the less experience. We also have Anna Jay, who's in the Dark Order.
Right.
So kind of like Big Swole. She doesn't really need this because, I don't know, she's got her own thing going on. I mean, they could put it into the story for sure. Just to be different, because you're taking probably who, if I would pick first, I probably would have took them. I'll take Ivelisse and Diamante. I think there's a good chance that they'll be in the final. I mean, I think they deserve it. They've been doing some good stuff. And I don't know if you've been on Twitter with these girls, Tay and Anna, they're not the best of friends, it doesn't seem.
Oh, actually.
Yeah, every time Tay posts like a picture, Anna kind of writes something, that she's not impressed, or, things like that.
Setting up some story, I guess, maybe.
Possibly.
Interesting stuff. Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens next week on Monday on YouTube.
Cool.
Let's get into this week's Being the Elite. This is episode 216, named Malfunction. And this one starts off pretty good. We get
another long, cold open.
Yeah, another long one, but I enjoyed it. Nick and Matt, Nick's grilling Matt, and he's just like, yeah, your little segment last week on BTE, it didn't do too good in the demo, and he's kind of really grilling Matt in this, and he's like, I don't know what else to do. I did the gardening, I did the pastels, and what do I do here? I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and Nick's a big part of this one, right? So he's going to take over. You couldn't do it, Matt. Yeah, you got CD doing on it, but
right.
I'm going to take over. So he takes him to a special location, which he says is his second residence.
And we've seen this before, because we saw he gets Matt and Brandon over, and then him and the four of them and Papa Buck are building the ring. So we've seen this on BTE before.
Right. So they're gonna fight the jobbers.
Yeah, they bring the jobbers
I totally
back.
forgot what this tag team is, and how are they not all elite yet?
Yeah, I don't know. They did so good in those in the episodes leading up to episode 200, but essentially Nick's trying to beat some inspiration into Matt to help this 50 plus seconds for the 50 plus demo segment. And I mean, this is the part that I loved about this whole segment, is that, I mean, you could it's just a throwback and the cliches, and making light of the cliches of old school 80s era wrestling. I mean, he's talking about, he's in a headlock right now. He's like, okay, I gotta give the three elbows. He was very specific about giving the 3 elbows to get out of the headlock. I mean, that's classic right there. And yeah, I don't know. I just liked it. I was laughing so hard while this was playing off.
Yeah, and there's also a mention of NXT.
Right.
Here.
Yeah. They make sure
doing
that
a spot on the top rope.
Yeah. And they
And
made
they had
sure
some sort of fall mat.
Yeah, they made sure the mat was in place properly, because you got to be safe, just like on NXT. Or I saw this on NXT, he says, or something like
Right.
that. I'm not quite sure what that is in reference to. I feel like there was a mix-up, because NXT, at their last kind of big show, they did a cinematic match. So maybe there was a fall mat in frame or something that, BTE would totally jump on the opportunity to make fun of. But
Right.
yeah, I don't know. I just overall like this bit. It was so good. I can't even think of what all the cliche old school wrestling tropes were that Matt. I just remember the 3 elbows, and then I remember the 3 arm lifts wasn't part of it, and I was mad. I was really mad, because that's like one of my favorite things in the old school wrestling. I always popped hard when Hulk would he'd Hulk up after. I fucking love that shit.
But Matt gets caught up in the ropes, and he's he says to Nick, "Are you just gonna leave me hanging here?" And then he's like, I got an idea. And then the rest of the segment is him hanging up signs or pictures in his house.
Yeah. So he finally gets his inspiration, and we get back to, on today's episode of 50 Plus for 50 Seconds, we get that voice, and it goes into the segment, which, I mean, whatever. Hanging posters. Who doesn't know how to hang a poster? Figure it out. What else jumped out at you in this week's episode?
I don't know. I guess the very end. Maybe we should mention Christopher Daniels. He has a segment which I'm guessing was an answer to this. I don't know. What did you think about Christopher Daniels' segment? It didn't explicitly tie into anything, but we do know that he's on assignment by Matt to figure something out. So anyways, he's talking about investing in precious metals, and he's talking about copper coins, and you can buy 100 copper coins for a single dollar, and he's making it sound like it's the greatest thing ever. And so I'm kind of getting the joke about that, but it didn't tie into the 50 plus thing or anything like that. So
I think that's where it was going, because much like there was a South Park episode where Cartman gets into the cash for gold gimmick, and he's scamming old people for all this money, for all this fake jewelry that just basically gets recycled over and over again. So like I understand, like that's kind of where the premise was. So I feel like this was centered, or at least pointed towards the 50 plus demographic, but it wasn't explicitly said that this is what CD came up with for the 50 plus, which I think they might have missed, maybe forgot, I don't know, but I do believe that's what it was for. So
yeah,
it is what it is.
I mean, the last segment for me was probably the best, and the Elite are in the locker room and they're talking about their loss, and Kenny says, you know what, I'm totally embarrassed. We lost to a comedy act. So he's put it out there that the Dark Order is now a comedy act, which I thought was pretty interesting because they're super serious, but on BTE they're just that's what they are. They're a comedy act,
right? And one of the best comedy acts out there,
right? So, anyways, they don't want to talk about this loss anymore. So Brandon turns on the TV. And who do we see on the TV? But it's Dark Order, and they're saying that Chili's has joined the Dark Order.
They're doing the Chili's commercial. They're doing the Chili's commercial that Matt gimmicked out of from a few episodes ago. Actually, quite a few episodes ago. I think that was over a month ago that they had the Chili's commercial offer, and Matt is like, oh, I'm so busy, and he gigs, and he bleeds all over the contract, and the Elite don't get the contract. So I like how they tied that back in. It was a nice little callback. And Dark Order signs the big money contract for the Chili's commercial, and they butcher it, which I think is even better. I think it's a subtle detail. They just butcher the Chili's song, and it was great. Brody,
so now they start ragging on Matt.
Right.
Everybody's mad at Matt. We could have had this. Dark Order gets it. And then Kenny goes into his sad voice. That voice, yeah. He's like, I was going to buy a vacuum. You know it. I was going to buy a vacuum.
Son of a bitch. Our viewers don't watch BT. They know nothing of what we're talking about.
I don't watch BT. It's so funny.
It was good stuff.
But I don't know. The rest of it wasn't their best stuff. There were some kind of one-liners here and there. Even the Dark Order stuff wasn't like the funniest part is Silver saying, "I'm not going to sell for you."
Right, because
Brody hands Uno the stack of papers, and he's like, "Yeah, like if you hit me, I'm not selling for you." But other than that, it's starting to become stale again. We always talk about that, right? The bits,
right?
They're pushing them like 1 week too many, and it needs to kind of change up a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I just wanted to quickly point out the TH2 bit. They had another good week of promos. The only reason I want to bring this up is because, we've kind of been talking about it when we see them on BTE, how good these promos have been, and we're excited for their comeback. Jack Evans was on... Jake Evans? What's that guy's name? Is it Jake or Jack? I think it's Jack.
I think it's Jack.
Jack Evans. We saw him on Dark last week. He gets a win over QT Marshall. And then as we get into this week on Dark, they lose. Which we'll talk about. But I felt like that totally...
Did Jack Evans win in that one?
Yeah, he beats QT Marshall last week.
Oh, okay.
But either way, there was a lot of hype, especially like for me. I'm a personal fan of TH2. There's a lot of hype for their comeback, and they cut it out under them, especially after another great promo here by the two of them. But let's get right into Dark and what we saw on Tuesday night. What do we got? Episode 46.
Yeah, we had we're back to a big show again. We had 9 matches.
Hour and a half.
It felt like 9 matches.
Yeah.
It was a long show. In the first match, we had Lee Johnson, now part of the campaigning team for MJF, taking on Rey Fenix. And this was a fantastic match. I don't know if you caught this one.
Yeah, for sure.
Lee Johnson, so athletic and Ray Phoenix being Ray Phoenix. This one had a few points where I thought Lee Johnson could have pulled this one out.
Yeah, for sure.
But Ray Phoenix goes over in this one.
My favorite part of this match quickly is Ray Phoenix vocalizing more in the ring. Like, he was very much having, going at odds against Aubrey Edwards, the ref. And I like, a little bit comical, but it was out of character for him because he's always so quiet in the ring. And he was really vocal during this match. I don't know if he was like, oh, this is a dark match. It's not TV, so maybe I can be a little goofy. But it totally worked. I really liked this, especially when he was punching Lee Johnson under the ropes and Aubrey tells him to get off. And he's just like, okay. And then he starts doing it again. And she pulls him off again. He's like, what? I didn't do anything. I just enjoyed it.
It's a good point.
I just enjoyed it.
In match number 2, we had Shawn Spears versus Alex Chamberlain. And this is Alex Chamberlain's debut match. What'd you think of this one?
This was just a straightforward Shawn Spears match. This is probably the 4th match in a row we've seen Shawn Spears in dark against maybe 4 or 5 since the glove, basically. Kind of all these matches are kind of becoming the same. So there's really nothing new. I think AEW needs to bring Shawn back onto Dynamite to progress this character a little bit. But yeah, standard match. There was nothing new.
Yeah, I thought we'll talk about Dynamite, but yeah, I thought this was gonna be the week where that was gonna happen, and it didn't.
For sure.
In match number 3, we had Mbadu, his debut. He was tagging up with Sean Dean versus the Gun Club. The Gun Club 2 weeks in a row.
Gun Club's back.
Yeah. What did you think of this match?
I did not watch this match because I can't stand Austin Gunn. But much like last week, I could tell you what happens.
Well,
no, go ahead.
Billy had a lot more to do in this match.
Oh, that's good.
That Mbadu, he's a really, really big guy. So they had a pretty significant part at the very beginning. But overall it was just okay. A well done match, but nothing to really write home about. In match number 4, we had Michael Stevens making his debut in AEW, and he was taking on Kip Sabian, and Kip Sabian going over in this one. I thought this one was a rare miss for a Kip Sabian match. This wasn't my favorite Kip Sabian match. He was doing a lot of talking to the camera and talking to Penelope, and there really wasn't a lot of content in this match. Right. And I don't know if this had to do with, Michael Stevens being his debut and, maybe kind of a noob. Did you see this one?
I skimmed through this one pretty quick, but only because like you said, I started watching this match and it was just a lot of it was all about Kip's character in the camera, like you said, and he kept going to get a smooch from Penelope or whatever, and I kind of lost interest, so I started skipping through, and finish was decent. It was a good finish from Kip.
Yeah,
not much.
I think the best part of the match was Michael Stevens was actually working off of Penelope a little bit, kind of flirting with her kind of thing.
I missed that. I missed that.
Yeah, that was good.
Sweet.
In match number 5, we had the hottest new tag team in AEW, Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. taking on Private Party. And when I seen this on the card, I was really pumped.
Yeah.
For this one, and I felt like this match delivered. I really enjoyed this one.
I made sure I watched.
What are you thinking about the new Hollywood Blondes?
So yeah, when I saw this match, I was like, "Okay, I gotta watch this one." So I watched the whole thing, and like I mentioned last week, if these guys aren't calling themselves Hollywood Blondes or some new form of it, I was going to be very upset. Now, admittedly, I didn't watch last week's match with Pillman and Garrison. I believe I skimmed through it, but this week I noticed right away Brian Pillman, he was doing the Hollywood Blondes sign, rolling that camera. That was the thing that Austin and Pillman used to do back in the old days of WCW, and I freaking loved it. I popped so hard when he did it, and then Griff was doing it. Like, this has to be a thing. They need, maybe not calling themselves Hollywood Blondes, but something similar. I mean, they are both blonde. They're both good-looking guys. They could pull it off, but maybe as a respect to a Hall of Fame tag team, very important tag team in the 80s. They could come up with something different. I'm not sure what, but they should definitely roll that gimmick. And these guys got a future. They need to keep these two together for a while.
Yeah, I like it.
Great match though. Private Party goes over. It was a great match. They worked well together. There was one little Quinn goes over the top rope and lands very stiffly on Pillman on the outside. I don't think Pillman was quite ready for him. He wasn't fully stood up to where he could, embrace him. And they landed really stiff, and I think it maybe jarred Pillman's shoulder a little bit. That was the only botch of the match. Really great match.
All right, in match number 6, we had Pineapple Pete, Corey Hollis, and Aaron Solo versus Jurassic Express. And Jurassic Express go over in this one. I watched this match. It was just okay. I would say a very typical Jurassic Express type match.
Marco had a lot to do with this match. While I was skimming through it, he went on a pretty good run doing some moves on one of those guys, and he got a lot over in that match. But
he gave a razor's edge to Pineapple Pete. Did you see this?
No, I did not see that.
Watch it.
What?
Yep.
Did they call it a razor's edge?
They called it razor's edge like.
Oh.
Like Taz was just like, he legitimately seemed pretty surprised that Marco was able to do this.
I'm pretty sure Pineapple Pete's feet would still be on the ground as he's holding him up like this.
Well, here's the thing is Pineapple Pete was in the ropes in the corner.
Oh,
so when he's pulling him out, Pineapple Pete's holding his feet on the ropes. So he got him like vertical and then pulled him off and then got him over like kind of real quick.
Interesting.
Like, it doesn't look fantastic, but I mean, considering how small Marco is, I think in the show Taz says he has a 19-inch inseam. To be able to get this very, very tall man over, right. I thought was pretty cool. Yeah, cool. Go check that one out.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and watch that.
In match number 7, we had the Hybrid 2 versus the Natural Nightmares. Did you see this match?
Yeah. And like I mentioned earlier, I was really disappointed that TH2 don't go over in this match. I just feel like with the hype coming off of their promos and the comeback, that they kind of cut the legs out from them. And honestly, it really distracted me from remembering exactly how this match went, just because I was just so mad at the finish. I understand that the Natural Nightmares are, up and coming, they got a lot of steam behind them. They're kind of the names in this, because we haven't seen TH2 in a while, but I think this was a match that they could have lost and it wouldn't have hurt them, and it would have just built TH2 up. But
yeah, I was pretty shocked. I actually looked at all of the winners before watching it, so I was kind of surprised that they didn't take this one. I thought the most interesting part of this match was the Natural Nightmares entrance music. Now, I don't know if this is brand new or I just didn't notice it before, but if you didn't notice their entrance music, go back and take a listen.
Yeah, I'll have to. I skipped it.
Very, very heavy stuff. I like it. It's cool.
Sweet. Check it out.
And it doesn't sound like Green Day. In match number 8, we have Penelope Ford versus Rachel Ellering. So Ellering getting a dark match here. She puts Penelope Ford over. Thought this match was a really good match.
This was really good, and this just shows. This match really shows how good Penelope actually is when she actually gets to work with someone who is, really, really good in the ring. Not trying to put anything over or put any negativity on anybody else Penelope's worked with. But I mean, there have been spots lately where things don't look so good, and this match looked really, really good all the way through, because I mean, I can't put Rachel over enough. Like, she is good, and once she gets back up the pace and stuff like that, like, she's gonna be a star. She'll be in All Elite Wrestling for a while, I think. But yeah, this match was really good. Makes Penelope look like a superstar in this match. Everything was great about it.
In the main event, we had SCU, Kazarian, and Daniels versus the Butcher and the Blade. Butcher and the Blade going over in this one. Did you see this match? What'd you think?
I mean, great match. It was good, but again, when it comes to these dark matches and we get these kind of like named tag team versus named tag team, it always ends up being so stock, sometimes. And I felt like this was that classic stock tag team match. They did their stuff, and the up and coming tag team goes over in this one. So I don't know. I didn't really have too much to say about this one. What about you?
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. For me, again, the Butcher was the star of this match, in my opinion. Like Ray Phoenix, he was very vocal. He was calling Christopher Daniels old man. Things like that.
That's something new for the Butcher.
What's that?
That's something new from the Butcher. I don't think he's been too vocal lately.
Right.
But
right.
I like the in ring. We don't want to hear you calling the match, but I mean, it's something Austin used to do. Something Austin told Kevin Owens to do, which Kevin Owens always does. Just trash talk your opponent when you're near the camera so it picks it up. I like that stuff. So
yeah, especially now when there's no fans.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
It adds.
Because I don't think Austin Gunn was in the crowd for this one, so you have a really good opportunity to be heard.
Oh, when I mentioned Austin 30 seconds ago, I meant Stone Cold Steve Austin, not Austin Gunn.
Oh, okay. I apologize. I missed that.
All right. So yeah, pretty decent episode of AEW Dark. Check it out every Tuesday on AEW's YouTube channel. Let's move on to this week's Power Rankings, August 12th, 2020. Did we have any changes this week?
We had a few changes. We had one change in the men's division. Scorpio Sky breaking the top 5 here, debuting in the 5th position. This has Darby Allin falling out of the top 5. So MJF still our number 1 contender. Lance Archer, Brian Cage, and Brody Lee in the 4th position. In the ladies division, absolutely no change. Nyla Rose still the number 1 contender. Big Swole, Penelope Ford, Abaddon, and Britt Baker rounding out the top 5. In the tag team division, the only change we had is Private Party out again. Poor Private Party. I mean, these guys, like, they make it in for a week and then they're out for a week. They get replaced by Jurassic Express, who's now in the 5th position. So I guess there's just not enough matches in a Dynamite to really warrant a lot of changes. But I guess the big news here is Scorpio Sky now, he's clearly now a singles competitor, I'm thinking. And I don't even know if we can say he's part of SCU anymore. What do you think of that?
Yeah, so we've seen some vignettes from Scorpio Sky. They were I don't know how much we talked about them in the past, but they were kind of outside the realm of SCU. And he talks about his future, and it's very kind of like solemn and somber in a way. I know in social media he's been talking about how, moving forward, SCU's tag team is going to be Kazarian and Daniels, and he was going to concentrate on his solo career. That's kind of what he's said. So what to expect. But the fact that, this promo that he did last week on Dark, which was really good, doesn't really mention SCU at all. And when he comes out for this this match that we're going to talk about in a bit, he doesn't even come out to the SCU music. He's got his own music now. So yeah, that's a good point to bring up. Is Scorpio Sky still a part of SCU? I'd like to think yes, but maybe that's opportunity for a story later on in this solo career that he's going to go on.
Right.
So yeah, interesting stuff. Let's get right into AEW Dynamite, August 12th, 2020, live from Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida. Again, no Excalibur absent. I thought I had heard earlier in the week that it was likely that he would return this week, but we didn't see it. So I don't know, maybe AEW taking some precaution, just try to let the fire that was set a couple weeks ago just die out a little bit more before bringing him back. But I'm missing him. I honestly am. There's something about, I love Taz. I think Taz has a spot on the commentary spot. He's been doing a really good job on Dark. Working with Tony Schiavone, who's replacing Excalibur. But, I'm missing Excalibur. I don't know.
Yeah, so am I. It's like there's a little something missing. And hopefully he's back soon.
It's like eating Kraft dinner without ketchup. It's just not the same.
Who would do that?
I don't know, but there are weird people out there. You guys, put ketchup on your Kraft dinner.
Are you Canadian or not?
Exactly. All right, let's get right into the show. First matchup of the night starts off with a really interesting matchup. We got the Young Bucks going up against Evil Uno and Stu Grayson of the Dark Order. But, things don't start off too cleanly in this one. Young Bucks are in their entrance. They got the buck cannon going, and they get attacked by 3, 4, 5, and 6. No, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 3, 4, and 5. I totally lost track of all the numbers. But
I think it's 3, 4, and 5.
3, 4, and 5, right? Okay, thanks. So they beat them down. They get a good advantage, and I love the way that Stu Grayson and Evil Uno come strutting out after. And props to Evil Uno here. He's really the only one I see still, he does the arm behind the back, and then I feel like he's the one who created this sign, and he's the only one really rocking it. I've seen John Silver, make fun of it in BTE and stuff like that, but when they all come out and they stand in a line, do they all do it? I feel like it's only Uno. Did you notice that, or am I crazy?
I hadn't noticed it, but now that you say it, yeah, I've never seen Brody Lee do it.
Right.
And I know Grayson has done it in the past. But yeah, they haven't been. I think what I noticed with this match is in prior matches, Dark Order would be in the ring and then the Young Bucks would come out.
Right.
This is more of what the Dark Order is. They are, we'll take you out before the match even starts. So I'm glad they're playing the characters right. And, I would say that often on our show when we do have gripes with AEW, a lot of the times it is just not representing the characters properly.
Right, for sure.
So I thought this was a really good a way for them to enter.
going
Think
in,
of the match.
yeah, going into the match itself, I thought this was an amazing match. You know, you got the Young Bucks, arguably best tag team in the world. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But really, the stars of the last few weeks, Evil Uno and Stu Grayson, and just more of the same from these guys when it comes to in-ring performances. These guys killed it. Like, I have to admit, when we saw the Dark Order, Evil Uno and Stu Grayson, when they debuted at All Out last year, I was just like, who are these guys? Why is only one of them wearing a mask? That's kind of weird. They got all these jabronis with them, creeping around. They form a chair for the big guy to sit in. Like, it was just weird. And, I wasn't buying into it. But, you know, as Dynamite came around and we got to see more and they really built these characters up, and the more and more I get to see these guys work, like, I like it. I really do like it. And I feel like maybe they don't get as much accolation as they should. Evil Uno and Stu Grayson, they are really good tag team, really good performers. And like I said, they seem to be the only ones so far really still keeping the Dark Order gimmick going properly. So, yeah, I don't know. I liked it. It was a great match.
I totally agree. Yeah, I've been saying that about Evil Uno and Stu Grayson. Stu Grayson, I've always said, you know, really, really like this guy. Yeah, fantastic match. Even though Grayson dies, you know, about 2/3 into this match.
Yeah, holy shit.
Dead. They finish up the match and Young Bucks take it.
Yeah, which...
What'd you think about this super kick Grayson takes?
Yeah, I'm still having a hard time seeing what almost went wrong. Just the way he comes jumping over the gate, and I think it's Nick that's there and gets the super kick on him as he's coming over. It's kind of like out of nowhere. And man, did it ever catch him thick, and you just see his neck snap back. I don't know if he was just a little too horizontal. Maybe he should have been a little bit more vertical to take the kick a little bit nicer, but devastating. Holy shit. Not quite as bad as the one Sammy got, you know, before Christmas there, but it definitely, that was stiff.
Yeah.
A little stiffsy. As for the finish, I feel like Dark Order should have won this. They have the momentum coming off the 12-man tag last week. You know, stellar performance, you know, but that aside, storyline wise, especially the way we go into tag team appreciation night and what happens later on, I think the Young Bucks take a loss here, and then it just adds to that tension that we have growing between FTR and the Young Bucks, and now FTR has one on them almost, you know, has a leg up on them because they lost to the Dark Order again. But that's just me.
And if they're gonna lose, it should be against. Well, I guess they have already beat 3 and 4.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the way the finish goes, it's okay. Like, it's still, like, they were beat. The Young Bucks were beat. Matt's up in the tunnel. We got 3, 4, and 5 blocking him in, and, you know, Nick makes this miraculous roll up and gets a quick 1, 2, 3 on them. Like, it works, but I just feel like a clean loss does more for everybody. But it did. I mean, it, like I said, it works, but I think it could have been better.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. We got a couple segments to run through here just before we go to commercial break. We see MJF walking through the hall with his campaign. We did the classic. Wardlow's got an earpiece on like he's part of the Secret Service or some shit. I enjoyed that little aspect of it. Knocks on the door. Out comes MJF. The entourage is rolling out. And then interesting little moment is like Lee Johnson tried to get ahead of MJF. And MJF just kind of shoves him into the wall. What did you think of that little spot in the hallway?
I thought it was weird, because it didn't seem like he really did anything, and then he gets pushed. Like, I know he's been kind of treating Lee bad, but
yeah,
I didn't think it was really warranted. So I don't know, it just seemed kind of weird. And then the segment kind of ends.
Right.
So I just kind of, I don't know. I just kind of felt like what is this? I didn't even think we would cover it.
Right. But
I think I even said to you, do we even talk about this?
Right. But fortunately enough, I noticed on the social media today that this exact same thing happened to MJF when he was an extra in NXT, and Samoa Joe's walking down the aisle. He's got the NXT belt over his shoulder, and MJF tries to kind of walk ahead of him a little bit, and he shoves MJF into the wall. Now, I sent this to you. I was like, dude, look at this shit. I mean, it makes this segment so much better now. It was such a subtle little thing. It was weird and off-putting out of context, but now this is totally a shot towards WWE from MJF and saying, look who made it. I'm here and I'm kicking your ass, basically. That's the message I'm getting from MJF here. What did you think of the remake, the reboot?
I mean, it looks really good when you look at the photos side by side. It's same perspective, same angle. Looks very, very similar. I'd like to hear the story of that whole Samoa Joe thing, and if it was a planned thing or did MJF just do something wrong, and this was Samoa Joe saying like, no, you shouldn't be in front of me, kind of thing. And that would be interesting to hear that story. But very creative from MJF. It's genius. I mean,
yeah, it really is. Like genius. I said, I think it's MJF's way of saying, like, yeah, you only wanted me as an extra. Well, look at me now. Like, I feel like that's the message he's sending.
This to me has kind of a Jericho written all over it. I feel like this is something that he would come up with. Like, he would remember, the time he was, slighted and then make fun of it later on.
Right.
I'm not saying that Jericho necessarily told him to do this, but it has that feel to it. Yeah, very cool.
When we come back from commercial break, MJF is in the ring. He's, we've seen this setup before. He's got the podium, the red carpet's out on the ring, and we get another promo, another campaign. I don't even know what you call it, speech. Addressing
He's
addressing the people, so he cuts another promo on Moxley, not as good as the one a couple weeks ago, but I mean, it's MJF. He could probably come out and just say one word and it would be great, kind of thing. Most interesting spot is when his little interaction with Nina, I thought was is that her name, Nina? I'm having troubles remembering names.
It's Nina. Yeah.
I need to just trust my gut. I was like, that sounds wrong. I want to say Jan. Who the fuck is Jan? But his little interaction with Nina there, and he kind of covers the mic. Why aren't you smiling? Smile. Like, it's just, I don't know. It just fits his character. I like that a little bit. And then she tells her to bring the image up on the screen. This was something that we saw last week a little bit. They went full send on this one though. The polls are in. MJF is 100% in the poll, or 500%
up.
500% up, and John Moxley's 1,000% in the negative. And it's just clever. It's a clever little jab there. But this all sets up as the promo goes on. MJF is talking about how Moxley's not even there tonight, and I'm pretty sure they advertised that Moxley was there. I don't get where this is. I mean, I see where this is going, but why would? I feel like that was almost a mistake on MJF's part for making note of that when Dynamite themselves was advertising that we were going to see Moxley tonight. Just a little bit of a misstep, but it all works out. The music hits. MJF was like on the ground. He was doing this weird overhead camera, love making a promo of some sort. It was a little weird.
I'll just stop you there for a second. So I agree with you that this promo was not as good as the first, but I thought the premise of this one was interesting. And the big point I think he was trying to make is that everybody lays down
right
for Moxley. Right. So then he lays on the ground and he outright says to Moxley, like, are we now in your comfort zone there, bud? You know, he's lying on the ground, that kind of thing. And then he does the rest of the promo like that. I thought it was pretty smart. Considering what is Moxley now? He's 21-0 or something like that. So it kind of plays on that not my champion, hashtag not my champion.
It's 15
kind of idea. 15. Wow, that's not a lot of matches.
In 2020.
Oh, okay.
So I kind of forgot that part of it, that was the whole thing, is like everybody's been laying down for you. Yeah, it does add a little extra bit to the promo. But then while MJF's on the ground, Moxley's music hit and he snaps up and he's looking around. He sends his advisors, his campaign help out to stop him. He always comes out from the vestibules or whatever. Taz kept calling them VOMs. JR's like, what the fuck is a VOM? Commentary was epic during this whole thing. I really enjoyed that. But I mean, we know what's coming. He's gonna come out the entrance from behind. It was blatantly obvious to anybody who's watched a wrestling show before, but it worked. I liked it, and I like that Moxley doesn't say anything there out in the ring. He comes in, he beats up MJF, he leaves him lying in the ring, and then he leaves. And then you almost think that that's it, which would have been fine. I would have liked that too. But then he's like almost walking past the gorilla position, and he sees a mic and he grabs it and he turns around, and he cuts a really good promo back on MJF, essentially accepting this match for All Out. Like, this was his finally we're getting that answer to the challenge that was sent. I'm pretty sure the match was already booked. But, great promo, accepting the match. But I couldn't help but be distracted by Tony Khan sitting at Gorilla. I think Cody was there too. I feel like Cody was hiding from the camera. But Tony just...
I feel at first Tony didn't want to be in it, and then he's just like, you know what, we're gonna go with this. Grabs his coffee, starts drinking. He's looking directly at the camera.
He's just giving this goofy smile. Like
do you think it was planned like that, or do you think that like this is just John doing what John does in the moment? Kind of random things, puts people in awkward situations, and then gets a moment out of it.
I think the plan was to have that promo back there. I think the plan was for the camera not to be on gorilla position per se. But the way John, yeah, like you say, John, he's very innovative or improvisation. He likes to improvise. So he was kind of moving around, being, classic John Moxley, a little bit unhinged and whatnot. And he kept pacing during his promo. And essentially the camera got caught facing Tony, And yeah, like at first Tony kind of, ducks down a little bit, but then there was a moment there where the camera was just kind of caught on that angle, and he kind of just embraced the situation. I know Tony has said in the past, when everything was kind of starting, are you going to be a character on the show? Are you going to be a Vince McMahon? And he's like, no, like, I'm not a wrestler. I'm a wrestling fan, but I don't want to be a part of the show. And we've seen that because when John Moxley came in, there was a moment where he goes into Tony's office and they have this thing, but you never see it. It's behind the closed doors, and all we hear is the audio. Right. So I don't know. Does this lead? Maybe he becomes a little less camera shy from all this, but he embraced it. I think maybe it wasn't the best.
I think he probably thought it looks more silly when you're doing this.
Yeah.
Like, we can see you. Yeah. You doing this is not making you hide.
Right.
So, yeah, I thought it was good. I want to think that John did this on purpose. He positioned himself where it gave the camera guy no option but to shoot that way.
Right. Yeah, I can see him doing that. He is a prankster. I mean, did you hear about him getting Renee to send him $4 in PayPal to get up off the couch to go get her a Coke? Did you hear about this?
No.
I guess they were sitting there, Netflix and chill, and she wanted a Coke. Hey, babe, can you go get me a Coke? It's like, you better send me $4, PayPal. And she did it. And he got her.
Did,
yeah. And he got her a Coke. So, like, Moxley's a prankster. And yeah, I think there is a very good chance that, they could have been talking about the plan, and Tony's like, okay, Moxley, you're going to do this promo. You're going to be in the backstage area just behind the thing. And, I'm going to be pretty close to you. Like, I won't be on camera. We'll make sure we'll shoot it this way. And he's like, oh, you're going to be on camera. Like, I could totally see that happening. So yeah, it was good. And like I said, you got to give Tony credit for just embracing it and sitting back and just enjoying the show. I liked it a lot.
And one last thing before we end this one is, man, can MJF take the paradigm shift?
Yeah.
Holy man, his feet were at 3:00.
Yeah.
He took that so good. It's going to be a good match.
It's going to be a good match. Looking forward to it. Quickly, we get an interview with Matt Hardy and Alex Marvez, just talking about the injury, the chair shot, whatever you want to call it. The 13 stitches. I heard 9 stitches. I heard 12 stitches. For some reason, AEW can never get their story straight on the stitches that it takes to sew up a hole. But and I think what this is all leading towards is that Matt Hardy's not all the way Matthew yet. I think he's still, like, we saw this in BTE a little bit. We didn't really talk about it. We saw a glimpse of it. It wasn't as in your face as it was on the BTE episode, but there's still some hints that his other vessels are there. And as we see, he yells out Sammy, and then the camera turns and there's someone walking. He's got the leather jacket, the backwards hat. He's doing the Sammy strut. Got to give props to Fozzy, the ref here, who was acting as Sammy. He nailed the Sammy strut. I loved it.
Totally.
Anyways, Matt loses his mind, grabs Fozzy, throws him in. He thinks it's Sammy, beats him up a little bit. All the other refs come in and pull him off, and basically Matt Hardy's got the night off after that. But what do you think of this building feud with Matt and Sammy? I'm getting excited for it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a payoff to a long string of moments that they've had together. The whole golf cart thing comes to mind, when Matt kind of killed him that time.
Essentially.
So yeah, and then this chair shot, which we can again debate whether it was gigged or not. Just kind of intensifies it all. And in this promo, Matt says he will make Sammy bleed like he did.
Right.
So I'm expecting there to be some color.
Oh, for sure.
In this match when it happens. Now, have we heard if this is like a official match for All Out?
I'm pretty sure this is happening All Out. I don't think it's been official, but I mean it's happening All Out. I'm pretty sure. It should be. I just wanted to mention really quick that Jericho was asked what he thought of the whole chair shot since he's so close to Sammy and whatnot, and he referred to the chair incident as a happy accident. No, it wasn't supposed to happen that exact way, but it's gonna turn out better than what they had planned. Just one of those things that they jumped on the opportunity. How quickly did that shirt come out? I don't die, covered in blood. I bet that shirt that's probably a phrase Matt had. I don't die. And then, I'm gushing blood. Let's do this blood splatter just to add to it. And yeah, they're running with it and it's working. Like you got to think that this is going to end up no DQ of some sort.
Yeah.
As it builds.
On just one quick note here, if you don't follow Sammy on YouTube and his vlog, he does a pretty good. He has a pretty good YouTube channel. At the end of his last episode, he hangs up the sweatpants he was wearing. Blood, nice. And he puts it on the wall at his house.
That's cool.
Kind of as a memorial or whatever.
Trophy. All right, well, let's move on to the next matchup of the night. The anticipated match from last week, as it was the challenge was thrown out. Scorpio Sky challenging Cody Rhodes for the Cody for the TNT Championship. I was really looking forward to this.
No.
What's that?
Do we owe WWE?
I think I do. Shit. Damn it. Anyways, Scorpio Sky versus Cody for the TNT Championship. This match was challenged by Scorpio last week, coming out of the tunnel. This match starts off interestingly enough. Scorpio's got new music, as I mentioned earlier. They had this door rigged up over the entrance, and he kicks the door down, kind of tying into his promo on Dark the other week. What did you think of this entrance? It came off kind of corny to me.
It had me fooled. I thought this was a Goldberg thing. Like, I thought he was coming from the back. I don't know that I watched the promo from Dark last week, so I don't know how it really ties in with the door and the no admittance sign that was on there. So maybe you can shed some light on that. Basically,
what he says is that they're calling me the King of Dark. Well, I don't want to be the King of Dark. And if I have to, I'll kick the door down and bring my own seat for a spot at the table, kind of. That was kind of the premise of the thing. But he does say the words "kick the door down," and he kicked the door down. So, this was kind of Scorpio's I'm coming back to the main stage, and y'all better be ready. It should also be noted that tonight we were going to see the newly finished, newly polished, redesigned, finished product of the TNT Championship belt. Cody, he wears it out to the ring. I was hoping maybe they would do kind of an unveiling in a way where, they're both in the ring. Cody came out with the silver, the bland looking belt that he's been using this whole time, and then there'd be like a presentation, but no, he's wearing the new belt out, and just the whole fact that this new belt was being unveiled, I was kind of thinking Scorpio was going to pull one out, new belt, new champion, just to start it off. What did you think of the new belt and how the finished product ended up looking?
Yeah, I thought it looked really sharp. I really liked the silver that the original one had, but now it's all polished up and it's got some gold detail in there. I like it. I think it's good. Yeah,
I think it turned out really well. For how it was presented and how much flack it got, I think they nailed it. The essence of the belt is still there. Nothing's really changed. It's just they added some detail and some gold trim, and I think it looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into this match.
Mike Chioda's the ref of the
right. So we were kind of watching this together for once, which we haven't done in a long time. It should be noted. That was fun, and you kind of pointed it out. Like, who is that ref? I've never seen him before, and I was like, dude, that's Mike Chioda. And then it snapped in my head. Wait a minute, the hell is Mike Chioda doing? But Mike Chioda was released on Black Wednesday after WrestleMania there. The mass firings that WWE did when the pandemic hit, and it looks like he landed on his feet firmly in AEW. It was good to see him back. Big match to start off as his referee debut with AEW. Mike Chioda, man, he's one of the best.
Now, this is the first time he ends up on the show. We're gonna see and talk about him later. So I wonder if this is a one-time deal or is he all elite? So let's not forget that.
We'll bring that up later. But what did you think of this match?
I really liked the story. I feel like in the last 4 matches for Cody, he's been bouncing back and forth from face and heel depending on who he was facing. And I thought that Scorpio really took the heel side to this. He was really disrespecting Cody. Mm-hmm. At one point he was holding the ropes for him to get back into the ring, and then as soon as Cody got there, he let go of the ropes and walked away, and Cody kept looking at the crowd going like, what's with this guy? And he did something else later in the match as well. So I'm liking this kind of heel Scorpio.
Me too.
I think he can pull it off.
I wouldn't expect it because he's been so over as a face for so long, but he knows how to work the heel, and it really showed in this match. I really enjoyed this match. I liked how Cody was selling the ribs from last week during that tag team match. He was selling them now. Scorpio working those ribs, keeping everything tied together. I really enjoyed. The only criticism I have was the finish. We got a really awesome false finish. Scorpio Sky kicks out of the crossroads. Scorpio had did he hit the TKO on Cody and got that really, like, I popped hard. I thought that was it. Scorpio had it. Like, it was so close. It was insane. Kyoto's hand might even touch the match. Everything was going so good, and then they go into the actual finish, and there was a little bit of a botch there. The transition into that second crossroads wasn't very well done, and then Cody was kind of slow getting on the pin after. I don't know, the last 20 seconds of that match just completely ruined everything for me. What did you think of the finish?
Well, I agree with you. It wasn't the best. And if I had to have some ideas as to maybe why it went that way, I'm thinking it might have had something to do with time. So one thing I didn't like about this match was the fact that this match was broken up in a commercial.
Oh, yeah, good point, yeah.
Like, for this match, like, come on, it's a championship match. Like, don't have a commercial. So
especially since we had so many useless segments. Like, this is only the second matchup of the night. Up to this point, 70% of this show has been interviews and segments and stuff. So, go ahead.
Right. So with the commercial, now they have to be, very conscious of time. Now, one thing that I've learned from AEW Unrestricted, and Aubrey being one of the hosts of that show, is she talks a lot about the ref perspective. And one thing that she's mentioned is that in the vanilla brand, they have two-way communication and are like constantly in conversation, and everything is planned out move to move. Now in AEW, it's not that way. There is communication, but it's not two-way, and the ref has to do a lot of controlling the time. So I'm wondering if maybe it was a time thing and they had to rush that ending and it just didn't come off well. I'm even suspecting that it wasn't even supposed to end in a crossroads, because it seems kind of goofy that he kicked the crossroads and then he gets a crossroads to finish. I feel like...
Especially after hitting a big move on Cody himself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So the whole thing was just weird, but that's an interesting point. I don't follow the Unrestricted podcast, so yeah, that's interesting to know that there's not as much communication going on.
Yeah, the refereeing seems pretty very, very different from the two brands. So, Kyoto coming from the vanilla would be used to a certain way of
for sure
how the match goes, and maybe wasn't aware of time, or that he had to be aware of the time himself and whatnot. So,
or just out of practice. He's been off for 3 months or so, 4 months. So maybe he was just out of practice where, being able to relay the information in a timely fashion where it's just like, oh shit, we only have 20 seconds to get this match done. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows?
I mean, it looked like he was working hard.
Oh, yeah, he was sweating. I kind of mentioned it while we were watching. It was just, that humidity. He hasn't, WWE really only has to work outside once a year, which is usually WrestleMania. Maybe the odd SummerSlam would go outside. But, Daly's Place, it's an open amphitheater. It's in Florida. It's hot. It's humid. He looked like he was struggling. And it doesn't look like he's in the greatest shape he's ever been in either. So he's definitely got that ref bod up to... he's got that ref bod cranked to 11. So
we'll blame it on the pandemic.
We'll blame it on the pandemic for sure. Let's quickly move on to a quick segment. Again, following...
Hold on. I'm going to stop you there for a second. So after the match...
Yes. Sorry. I forgot.
right? There's
Go
a
ahead.
big moment here after the match. Dark Order is on the, I don't know what you call it, Titantron, the big screen, whatever. And Brody Lee cuts a promo, and basically we get the announcement that is it next week or All Out?
Yeah, it'll be next week.
Next week? Yeah, next week we get Brody Lee and Cody for the title.
Yeah.
What do you think about this matchup?
I like this matchup. As much as I thought Scorpio might be the one to take the belt away from Cody, I think Brody has an even better chance of doing that, and this might be the end of Cody's run, especially since this next episode of Dynamite, because of the NBA scheduling conflict that we talked about last week. This next episode of Dynamite's going to run on Saturday, the 22nd, which is directly opposite of NXT TakeOver 30, which is a big card. So they're going to have to do something to try to draw some people over from watching a pay-per-view to watch, a weekly episode of TV. A title change could do that. So
Yeah.
I think Brody Lee being the name that he is, this has a shot. So I like the matchup.
And really good promo.
I like the promo. I was just about to say yes. I like that it's just on the video. This is something that this was kind of Kenny Omega's thing. When he was US champ, and then when he was IWGP heavyweight champ. Whenever he had the belt and he'd finish a match and he successfully defended, someone would challenge him right away. It was like clockwork. The next challenger would always present himself, which is something that he got from, I'm not sure what fighting game it is, but that was like the thing. A new challenger has presented himself, and it would be a silhouette or whatever. But that was always the thing in New Japan, that a new challenger. So I like that Cody's kind of taking that. He's kind of stealing that or adopting it. And I hope this happens more. If Cody does hold on to the belt longer, I like that the challenger always comes like right away. And I like how they did it differently. Scorpio Sky kind of meets him in the tunnel. This time Brody's up on the Titantron. I like it.
Yeah, it's a surprise. We're not getting it on the day of, but it's happening in different ways. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that element of surprise is still there. It's not on Twitter, on social media. Oh, make sure to tune in on Dynamite this week because Cody's defending against whoever. So yeah, I liked it. Let's move on to the next matchup of the night. Tag team championships on the line. Omega and Hangman taking on Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus. This match
for the straps.
For the straps, like this is for the belts. And Luchasaurus lets us know, hey mom, comes right up to the camera, hey mom, it only took 65 million years, but they're finally giving a dinosaur a championship match. I mean, it was quirky, but I mean, it was kind of cool at the same time. But
yeah,
but this match was good. It was like surprisingly good. I don't know why going into this match I kind of had some reservations thinking about it. Been kind of hard on Luchasaurus, trying a little too much lately, but this match came off really clean. There was only one spot where Jungle Boy kind of botched the move. He was trying to do a little too much on the ropes and maybe lost his footing. But other than that, really clean match. I liked it. I liked Kenny. Kenny was following through this kind of transition into a heel. Just furthering that piece. He attacks Marco out of nowhere in the outside of the ring, which I liked a lot. What did you think of this match?
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I'm thinking about, like, as we were watching it and the the name bars come up and they had the funny little notes on there, and I felt like that was getting you in a better mood towards this match. Again, we had another commercial break in a title match. Didn't very much enjoy that, but I agree with you. It was a really good match. I like the whole Kenny Omega sort of continuing towards or teasing that he's becoming the cleaner again, and they end up retaining the belts, and I think it's Tony forgets what their move is called.
Yeah, he called it the buckshot lariat V-trigger combo, and it's just like, dude, they've been calling it the last call for a while now. Like, get on it, Tony. But Taz was there to save the day. During the replay, he calls it the last call, and it's all good. But yeah, I just want to quickly talk about these commercial breaks and doing the picture-in-picture and stuff like that. When it pertains to a championship match, I feel like the show can be mapped out a little bit better, that we don't get these breaks. Like, we didn't get a commercial break during the Young Bucks Dark Order match coming right off the show. That was a one-stop shot throughout the whole thing. And I don't know if you remember, while we were watching it, I was like, all I wanted was a commercial break after that match so I could run upstairs real quick. But then we get the MJF segment, and then we got the Kenny, and like, when is this commercial break finally happening? Finally, I was like, I'm out of here, while MJF was coming out to the ring, and then we finally get the commercial break. Could that not have been planned out better, so that, or is there television laws that the commercial breaks have to happen specifically in these spots? Like, like hockey, when you watch hockey, the commercial break happens whenever they can. Hey, we can take 30 seconds here to cut the commercial break because, they're cleaning the ice real quick, or like whatever. I feel like real sports do a better job. We never miss action.
Right.
I feel
and
like,
I guess we don't with the picture-in-picture, but like I've said on previous episodes, I am not focused on the little box.
Yeah.
Like, I'm watching, Snoop Dogg and whatever do a Doritos commercial.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so, I mean, it is what it is. Champions retain again, like we mentioned last call. Really good match. It was surprising. I didn't have high hopes with Luchasaurus in there. But, it turned out really well. I enjoyed this match. Let's move on to a quick little segment that we saw with Proud and Powerful. They, furthering this feud with Best Friends, they happened to steal Best Friend's luggage and their gear, and they take it into the showers and douse it in bleach. What did you think of this little segment?
Yeah, I mean, it was good. It's furthering this whole storyline and them kind of trashing Sue's car and whatnot. And I was either expecting Best Friends to kind of bust in and catch them doing this, or
Right.
See something later on in the night. So I guess we'll see if that happens.
For sure. It was a quick little segment. It did its job. We're progressing the story. Again, Proud and Powerful. Really when this segment started, like I was thinking that this was going to be the seeds planted for this revival. Oh, I can't say revival.
That's another $15.
Yeah, shit. The resurgence of a reboot of the Four Horsemen, as we talked about a couple weeks ago. How I think it's going to be FTR, Hangman, and possibly a Shawn Spears or Cody, depending on which way they want to go. I think Shawn Spears makes more sense. Shawn Spears comes out during this whole thing. Really didn't do anything, but he walks out the tunnel, and that's kind of where all the distraction comes from. I was disappointed in that sense that we didn't get anything further than that. But what did you think of Sean Spears' presence out there where it wasn't really warranted?
Yeah, it was a bit weird, but maybe this is the more of the tease. We had the Cody with the doing the 4, and Tully and Arn are in the ring together, and yeah, this whole Carolina connection between these guys. Yeah, I think it's just maybe a tease of things to come.
Hopefully. Okay, let's move on to a quick little segment that we had in the back. Alex Marvez was interviewing Mike Chioda, acknowledging that this was his debut, his first match, reffing in AEW, how did it go, and all that stuff. And Jericho interrupts almost immediately and brings up some... I believe this is a shoot that, a while back in the early 2000s, maybe Mike Chioda's job was on the line, and Jericho was there to back him up and basically saving his job in WWE, and using that as say leverage to make sure that you get a job here in AEW. And referring to the matchup, the main event for tonight, the $7,000 obligation match against Orange Cassidy, that when the time is right, and I tell you, you make sure you do the right thing. And Chioda cleverly, like, don't worry, Chris, I'll call this match right down the middle. And Jericho, right, yeah, that's what we'll call it, calling it down the middle. I fucking loved it. I loved it.
Yeah.
So,
I think that whole Chris saving Chioda's job, I think that's real. I think we heard that on Chris Jericho's podcast with Chioda. They talked about that. I love how they're incorporating that into this. Again, not hiding the fact that either of these guys was in Vanilla Brand. They're not afraid to do that on AEW, so I thought that was good.
They're basically doing everything except for saying the words WWE.
Right?
They are acknowledging the history, but not saying it outright. I think it's clever, keeping it subtle.
And I mean, we had a huge conversation about how this match was actually going to go. And DQ and all of that kind of stuff, and now they're putting this in our minds, like, is Chioda gonna honor this maybe debt that he has with Jericho, or is he gonna call it down the line and screw Jericho? Like, what's actually gonna happen in this one? So
yeah, they left
us guessing.
Yeah, they left it really open, which I liked. Yeah, it was a good little segment. Chioda getting some mic time, something refs don't always get, so good for him. As that segment ends, we get Sammy coming out of the tunnel. He's got the cue cards ready, and I am just so excited that I might actually get to see a cue card segment. And TSN cuts me off. Did you go back? Did you download the American version and see what he had to say? You're gonna have to fill me in.
I do download every episode just for historical sake. So I did rewatch it today, and the TNT version did not remove that part. So I kind of seen what was going on this week. This happened. Was it last week? This happened when Sammy was talking about the debate and called Jericho a master debater,
right?
And then freaked out about the cards. So this one is a silent promo on Matt Hardy, and he's saying, what's wrong, Matt Hardy? I guess you can't get me out of your head. And then he's like laughing because he threw the chair on his head.
Right.
He says, you know, oh, well, you just need to relax, you know, enjoy your night off. Too bad, though, that you left your throne. And he actually wrote underneath, pun intended, because it was written as throne. And then he said, typical Matt learning the hard way. And there was all this blood or red splatter all over the card.
Nice.
And then, yeah, he took out a chair and he was kind of waving it at the camera, and he ended up sitting on it. And then he ripped up the cards, and the segment was over.
Sweet.
So, you know what? I really think this is smart by Sammy. They're not giving him, you know, time on the mic, but he's like, hey, I can do something during the commercial break. Just give me a chance. And they're going with this. I like it. It works for him. He can get that arrogance off without actually having to say anything, just by his mannerisms. So, yeah, really great job by Sammy on this.
No, it sounds like cue cards were cleverly thought out. I like that hard way, because that's the way the color was showing. It was done the hard way. It wasn't gigged. He didn't blade. So, yeah, it's clever. It sounds like an awesome thing. But let's quickly just talk about how TSN up here in Canada has been cutting out these picture-in-pictures. It's a rare occurrence lately that I actually get to watch the picture-in-pictures during the match. Never mind, Sammy doing a promo with the cue cards. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that AEW has been doing these contests with these secret hashtags that pop up during the picture-in-pictures. Since Canadians are not eligible for those, I think for the fact that to help save some social media traffic for AEW, that TSN doesn't show those. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts of TSN cutting that out, or is it just a broadcasting? Is it broadcasting bureaucracy? What do you think?
No, I think you're probably right. I remember there was a contest that AEW was doing, and I think it was with the bracket for the TNT. And yeah, then we find out that we're not even eligible to be in it. So to not even sort of disappoint us in that, I could see if they were showing some of that stuff on there that just go for commercial. I mean, I'm not a fan of the picture at all. So yeah, just be done with it. Just give me a commercial. I'll take my break and man, I don't know what you do. Show maybe highlights on YouTube or something for the things that we missed on the TV. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of sucks.
All right.
Especially when this is actually something worth watching.
Well, yeah, this is a part of the show we're missing.
Yeah. It's not a 4-minute headlock.
Exactly.
It's a promo.
Yeah, exactly. So, be better, TSN. Let's move on to a quick match that we had. It was announced earlier in the week that Hikaru Shida, AEW Women's Champion, was going to be in action tonight. We get another AEW debut with Heather Monroe going up against the champ. And, I mean, this match pretty much goes the way they've all been going for Hikaru Shida. Takes a little bit of a licking. Competitor gets cocky. Hikaru fires up and ends it quite quickly. What did you think of this quick match?
Yeah, I would say the same thing as you. It was pretty typical. As far as Heather Monroe, I really felt like she is not a noob. I didn't look her up. I probably should have. I feel like she deserved a Dynamite match. Like, she right from the coming out of the tunnel. No, did we see her in the tunnel?
I can't remember.
Now I'm forgetting. But when we first see her, like she's in sort of heel mode. She's, acting, and I thought she was strong in the ring. Worked really well together, especially with Hikaru, which English is not, the best. So, I really felt like this is for her another match that just the reason is to get to the end, and at the end we have an interview with Tony.
Right. Which, I mean, short and sweet. Basically, just I'm still waiting for this challenge. Is basically the message she gives us. Bring it on. Bring it on.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you know who this Heather Monroe is?
No, I've never heard of her before. I agree with you. She showed a lot of confidence in the ring. She wasn't scared to be vocal while she was putting the work over on Sheeta, which, I talked about it earlier. I enjoyed. So, yeah, I think Heather Monroe definitely knows what she's doing. And maybe we'll get to see her some more on Dark or future Dynamite episodes. All right. Let's move on quickly to one of the weirdest segments of the night, if not the weirdest segment of the night. It's sent to the locker room. Jake Roberts and Lance Archer have something to say. Basically, Jake's cutting a promo. One of the jobbers runs into Lance. Lance goes on a tirade, drops everybody, throws everybody, beating everybody up, and then interrupts Jake. Did you tell him yet? I'm getting to it. And then we don't got time for this. He rips Jake's shirt off and then turns him around. And they got friggin' everybody dies written on Jake's back. And it's just like, man, we know what your catchphrase is. Do you have to write it on Jake's back? Did we have to see Jake's body for this catchphrase to come off? Like, be better. I think, especially for me, I think I'm losing interest in Lance Archer. They need to do something different with Lance.
He needs to have a match.
They need to do something. I'm getting over it. I'm getting over it quick. But yeah, this was weird. It was a definite miss.
What do you think of Jake being scared of Lance?
I don't like it. I don't like anything that Jake's been doing ever since the end of the TNT tournament. Ever since then, Jake's role has been awkward. And I liked it better when he was in control. And it seems like he's not in control anymore. And it's ruining everything for me. How about you?
Yeah, I don't like his character. He seems absolutely useless. And I like Lance. They need to get him working.
For sure.
These things we're done with it.
For sure. All right. We get into a segment where they kind of announce what's going to happen next week. So I'll quickly run through this. Again, they're advertising All Out for August 5th. They were showing some highlights from the previous year's All Out. Then we get into what's going to happen next week on Dynamite. Again, it's going to be August 22nd. It's a Saturday because of the NBA scheduling. Should be reminded that this is running directly opposite of NXT TakeOver. I shouldn't say directly opposite because it's AEW is going to be at 5 Central. I think it's 6 o'clock Eastern, depending on if the game goes into overtime or not. Takeover's probably going to start at 7, so it should be done by then, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, it's happening on the same night, so there's still some kind of competition there. Anyways, matches we're going to see are FTR versus Private Party, The Elite, being the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega versus Dark Order 3, 4, and 5. This stemming from the attack on the Young Bucks earlier in the night. We're going to have the Women's Tag Team Cup Final. We're going to see the semis upcoming on Monday on YouTube. Darby Allin will be in action. We don't know against who. Lucha Brothers and the Butcher and the Blade in action against Jurassic Express and the Natural Nightmares. 8-man tag match. Not looking forward to it, but we'll see how they do. And then we have the TNT Championship match, Cody versus Brody Lee. So some intriguing matches coming up next week, and one very obvious dud. Let's get into the main event of the night. We have the $7,000 obligation match, Jericho versus Orange Cassidy. We've been talking about this one for a few weeks now. We've given two different forms of predictions, but one ended up being right, and it was our initial gut feeling. This match definitely not as good as the first one, but they were telling a different story, and I mean, you can call our predictions, our expectations of how this match is going to go, maybe brought our enjoyment of the match down. I still enjoyed this match. I thought it was awesome. I just thought the first one was so well done. But yeah, again, we get to see Mike Chioda reffing his second match in AEW, leading back to that interview we saw with Jericho. What were your thoughts on this match initially?
I would agree with you. I didn't think this was as good as the other one. But you're right. You know, they were telling a different story, and the story really had more to do with, I feel like the Mike Chioda was the big part. Like, that's what you were watching for was, you know, is he going to call it down the middle? Where's that going to happen? And then we do see it because Jericho grabs the bat, and Jericho starts yelling at Mike Chioda saying, just turn around. Like,
yeah, you don't need to see this.
Yeah. And Mike does a really good job. Like, I mean, he's kind of resistant, but then kind of gives in. And I was thinking like, wow, so this is how Jericho's gonna take this match. What did you think at this point? Did you think that Mike was just gonna give it to him that way?
No, I felt like he was always gonna do the right thing. It would be contradictory if he got a job with AEW after this, if he had totally turned his back and let the bat shot go through. So I wasn't really expecting. I agree with you that he did a really good job. Like, he, you know, you see the wheels turning in his head. He turns around, but then very quickly he makes his decision. He turns around, he grabs the bat, and then we get into the big distraction. Best friends, Proud and Powerful, they come out. They meet each other up on the ramp. They're supposed to be barred from ringside, but they have a battle. Chioda, Jericho directs Chioda, you know, make sure you're looking over here. What are they doing out there? They're not supposed to be out here. In comes Hager. He puts a big move on Cassidy, and you're thinking that this is going to be the finish, and holy shit, what a false finish this was. I mean,
yeah, it's huge.
This was the best part of the match, was these last, 2 or 3 minutes. Cassidy kicks out of a code breaker. He kicks out of the attack from Hager. Goes in and dodges the Judas effect. The actual finish itself, I mean, Cassidy doesn't really have a strong finisher. So we kind of missed that, big pop. But it turns out he just... I should go back and mention that Cassidy was trying to do these dragon screws on Jericho, and they were just looking like super awful.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if Jericho just hasn't taken a dragon screw in 15 years and just forgets how to sell that bump. And then we see it again as Cassidy's going to tie up Jericho in a mousetrap, and it just comes off really awkward. It's like Jericho went to put his weight back too soon. Cassidy hadn't quite gotten all the limbs tied in yet, and it was just this weird fallback. But, I mean, the pin comes through, 1, 2, 3. Big surprise victory for Cassidy. I mean, we kind of called it a couple weeks ago when the addition of the bait and everything like that. I kind of felt like it could just end up a dirty finish, almost a no finish. But, yeah, Cassidy gets one over. I still think we're going to see a third match here. We got to have a rubber match.
Yeah, I feel like that's why they went orange on this one. Maybe it'll be an all-out one.
I think with All Out being a pay-per-view, kind of being a big deal, this is where Mike Tyson re-enters Jericho's life. Maybe Tyson gets involved, causes a distraction. Maybe the ref's distracted. Tyson gets the knockout punch on Jericho. Cassidy gets the win again. That's my early predictions for this. But we'll see how the next couple weeks of episodes go.
Right.
All right.
And should be noted that I don't know if I've heard this before, but this Superman punch that Orange Cassidy does, they're now calling the Orange Punch.
I don't think I've heard that either, but that's clever.
Yeah,
I like
heard it this week, and I like it too. I had a. It's lame. It's lame, but it's good.
Well, it works. It works with Orange Cassidy, right?
Yeah.
I had some thoughts when Cassidy brought out the Superman punch. Is this a shot at Roman?
How so?
Well, Cassidy, I mean, besides Will Hobbs, which was a jobber, Orange Cassidy hasn't really finished a match with the Superman punch. So I just feel like, we'll Orange Cassidy does the Superman punch, but it never finishes anybody, and we'll kind of bury Roman Reigns a little bit. It was kind of a thought I had at the first time we saw it, but now they're calling it the Orange Punch. I mean, I like it, but I don't know. I just feel like there's a little bit of shade.
Wrestling.
Yeah, there's a little bit of shade. A little bit of shade on it, but
yeah,
I don't even know if Roman Reigns wrestles anymore. You know, he hasn't been back since he left for the pandemic. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was a good show. It was a long one. We had a lot to talk about. Some good conversations there with the breaking kayfabe and whatnot, and a lot happened in this episode. I didn't realize that so much happened, but it ended up being a lot to talk about. But I'm glad we got all through it all. Just a reminder: Dynamite will be next Saturday, 1 week from when you guys are watching this, August 22nd, 6 Eastern, 5 Central, depending on when the basketball games end. So just be noted that we'll have to push back the podcast a little bit because, we got to wait for Dynamite to run before we can talk about it. So expect us to do that podcast maybe Saturday night. Hopefully get it out for Sunday morning, but maybe Monday. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how the week goes and when we can get together and actually record and stuff like that. So, yeah, good show. Anything you want to add for this week?
It's going to be weird to watch Dynamite on a Saturday.
Yeah, it is going to be weird. It'll be like a pay-per-view, though. It'll be a big night of wrestling. We can watch Dynamite and then watch NXT TakeOver afterwards. Pat McAfee versus Adam Cole. I mean, if that's not the main event... If that's not the main event, I'll be pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
sure.
that's what's happening. And SummerSlam is the 23rd, I believe, so.
All right.
It's going to be a big weekend of wrestling. All right. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. Sorry it was a little bit longer, but, when the conversation's good, the conversation's good, right? So don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Leave us some comments below on what you thought of this week's wrestling, and we will catch you all next week. Peace out.
Peace.
And on behalf of Chris Jericho, go fuck yourself, Jason Corvette. Piece of shit.